Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today will be first episode of the Freewing B-2 Spirit modifications. So I've been doing some things here. So one of my biggest pet peeves with the way the airplane looks is the nose gear placement. I believe stock it's oh, stupid thing. Anyways, stock it's about right here. Just way back there. Looks ridiculous. This is almost scale location. I think scale would be just a hair forward, but that's about as good as I can get. So what I've done here so far is removed the door hinge block, the nose door hinge plate, door plate, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, I'm going to reuse all that stuff. Just going to slide everything this way. So what I've done here is I've actually pretty much just cut and ground everything out. I got a clean slate in here now, so now I'm going to be making some plywood pieces to make new nose gear mounts. So one interesting thing is there is about a 3.5 ounce brick of steel or something. I don't think it's lead, cheap metal, pot metal. There's actually more nose weight in there, but it sits right here. I ran up against it while I was cutting down. I'm like, what the heck is that? It's a, see if I can find it over here. It's a giant chunk of whatever. So 3.5 ounces. Honestly, with the pack I'm using, I don't think I'm going to need this. If it does need more nose weight, I can always put more nose weight back in it, but figure, hey, 3.5 ounces, and my battery was pretty far back, so I should be able to just slide my pack forward and make CG. Plus the nose gear is farther forward, so that moves some weight forward. Anyways, a little bit of experimentation to do there, but yeah, so far this is what we got. Got everything pretty much cleaned out. This is the bottom of the pilots, so at some point I'm going to redo the whole cockpit, but I'm going to start off with this. So it's ground down. It's going to be really close to where the battery tray is at. So there's a lot of things to take into account here. One of which is, this thing's annoying. One of which is the nose gear depth. So as you can see, it's very close to the surface. It's going to be an issue with the steering. There's a lot of little things that get messed up when you start doing stuff like this. So I can't really go any deeper with the retract unit. So there's going to be some things that I have to give up visibly on the outside. Like this is going to stick out. But honestly, there's huge aqueducts. We got freaking exposed servos for the main gear doors, so I'm not too worried if I got a little thing here. Plus, I'm going to paint the whole bottom black at some point. You're not even going to notice that. But it will look way better on the ground and in the air with the nose gear in the right spot. Plus, I'm going to put a servo on this door because on the real one, this door closes when the gear's down. So it also, the door being forward of the CG can cause a little bit of stability, stability problems because it's acting like a side force generator, but it's in front of the CG, it's in front of the center of rotation, so it can actually make it unstable, especially if you get like a crosswind gust. So with that closed, that should actually help stability at low speeds with the gear down. And then I got to figure out where I'm going to put the ESCs because that's where the bombs go because it's a bomber. So a little ridiculous I'm having to do this to a $700 foam model, but it is what it is. So someone's got to do it right, and it might as well be me. So let's get some wood parts cut, and I'll show you what I come up with. Okay, so here's what I got so far. This is the first step here. So this is a 1/8" plywood. This is the good plywood, not the lightweight stuff. Don't use the lightweight stuff. It'll just split and separate. So plus, like I said, we got all those nose weight up here, and we're going to add some weight back, so might as well make it strong. Okay, so the first step is this floor here. So like I said before, I ground all this flush to those plywood plates where the pilot seat mounts are. And then I ran it all the way up. I'm going to put some glue on there. I'm going to glue the front of the plate to those weights up there just for a little extra tie-in. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some rails to mount the retracts to. And I've also decided to skip the original steering setup, and I'm going to do a pull cable set up. I need a spacer for this, but the screws where the springs go in for the nose gear door, I'm going to put some longer screws in there, and I'll show you how I do it here in a little bit. It's pretty simple, adds a little bit extra work to this whole thing, but not many people are going to do all this stuff, and so it's not like I'm trying to make it easy for anyone else to copy me, but this is just the way I'm doing it, and if you want to copy me, go ahead. But I figured I'd show you guys what I'm doing anyways, even if not many people are going to do the same thing. So most people probably don't care that the nose gear is way too far back, and it probably doesn't bother them one single little bit. So anyways, I'm going to make some 1/4-inch plywood rails now that go kind of far back to help spread the load of the nose gear. And yeah, I'm going to make those next, and we'll show them to you here in a second. Okay, so now what I've done is I've made some plywood rails. So these are 1/4-inch plywood, and I've done an 1/8-inch spacer. And I've also sanded the top of the retract unit to kind of square it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drill these out, put the screws in, and then I'll bond this in place on the wood. And then I'm probably going to do some doublers along the sidewalls here to tie the plate into the sidewalls. And this is pretty heavy duty. I mean, this is probably way stronger than the stock little plastic thing. I mean, the nose gear on this really wasn't enforced. This was just glued into foam, so this wasn't attached to anything, basically is what I'm trying to say. So I'm hoping that this will be able to handle a lot more impact forces than the stock unit. As you can see, I already had a couple of wrinkles right here from a couple of my bounced touch and goes. So I'm also very curious to see how the position of the nose gear changes the oscillation of the bounce. So what I'm trying to say is the bounce might not be as bad with the nose gear farther forward. So that'll be something that will be cool to see if it's any different or not. And it might even handle a little nicer on the ground having the nose gear farther away rather than having such a short wheelbase. So let's get these rails drilled out and get the retract unit screwed in. And we'll glue the assembly in, and then I'll start figuring out where my steering servo is going to go. It might go back here just to make it easy. There's nothing back there, so the bomb bays will come close to that area. But this whole cavity will be open. The nose gear should end right around this plate. So I might put it back there just to make it easy on myself. And then, yep, and then we got the nose gear door plate, which will, it'll glue onto here. I'm going to have to body work around it to kind of like ferret in, make it look nice. It's not going to have the perfect contour up front, but you know what? I'll take that with the proper gear placement over what it was before. So anyways, let's get back to this. Okay, here's what I come up with so far. So this is not glued in yet. So I made some, these aren't glued in yet either. I'm just mocking everything up. So these are like a light ply. I got some 1/4-inch balsa in the corners to tie everything in. And then what I've got here is a servo that I'm gonna just hot glue a little bit. And that servo is what's gonna move the door. So this door has a little arm on it, which is used for the mechanical closing. So basically I'm just gonna have a push rod of that. Now I don't have a servo or a gear sequencer in the airplane, but the DX-18 has one that you can use in the transmitter. So I got a couple of spare channels in the radio, so I'm gonna put this on its own channel and it'll be mixed with the gear. So basically this is gonna have the push rod right here, so it's out of the way of the landing gear. And then, like I said earlier, I'm probably gonna mount the steering servo right here, just past the tires, and then the cables will run up here. So it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it so far. So now I gotta glue in these side pieces here, and then once I do that, I'll probably hot glue in the servo, and then I will glue in the rails. After that's done, I'm gonna get the original door mount that goes right here. I'm gonna move it to this location, find that spot, glue that in. Then once everything's done, I will fill this in probably with Depron. Then I'll do a little spackle, use spackle around here to smooth everything out. And then, yeah, that should be it. So The hardest part about this kind of stuff, the most time-consuming part, is figuring everything out. It's not so much actually making it or doing it. So I did have a couple ideas for the ESCs. So I'm thinking about, these wires are really long, which is nice because I can move them anywhere. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to probably notch out this area right here. I'm going to put the ESCs right here on their sides like that. And then I can run the power cables through here and then into the bay through the nose well. So I'll have to cut one side because it's wired together on the power cable. So I'll have to cut one side and either use connectors or just resolder it once it's all situated. So I might do that today too, so I can get that done, and then I'll just put a temporary cover over this for now until I do my Bombay doors. So it's going to be awesome. With the Bombay doors, I'm going to have both sets. So there's a left and a right bay. There's 2 doors for each bay. So there'll be 4 doors in total, and I think it'll look really cool with the doors opened up. And there'll be space where I can, you know, put in some 3D printed bombs or something and drop some bombs out of it. So that's the whole idea. And plus it'll look cool for flybys with the doors open because it'll all be white inside of here. I'm also going to paint the insides of here all white, and then the gear all white and everything else. So that's all down the line. I need to get all the functional stuff done first, and then we can move on to the appearance mods. So this was the big one. Well, it's kind of the big one. The Bombay doors will probably be just as much of a hassle, but shouldn't be terrible. But this was the most complicated of all the mods I'm doing, so get that one out of the way first, and we'll go from there. So let me get this stuff glued in, and we'll start hooking stuff up. Okay, so I've glued these side plates in. These are actually just balsa sticks that I cut and pushed down there to hold the plates against the walls while they're curing. So I think everything is just about dry, so I'll pop these out and then we'll see about mounting this nose gear. Alright, so we got the nose gear mounted now. Everything's glued in. One thing I did do on this nose strut is I'm trying to get some more height on the nose, because basically where the gear is mounted now is lower, or depending on how you're looking at the airplane, it's when it's upside down, it's lower than it used to be. So that means that the nose on the plane on the ground would sit lower. We don't want that, especially on this flying wing with the gear super far behind the CG. It makes it hard to rotate. So I actually took the screw out that keeps the strut collapsed about this far. So you take that screw out, and then you get a little extra distance out of that, and it will over center, but I'm not worried about that, because the ground, as you're rolling, it's going to be pushing it back. So even if it does get locked by some manner, as soon as you land, it's going to go back. So I did that. So I take the little screw out. So I use this little piece of hose as a spacer and reinstalled the strut. So now I just need to get a couple of metric screws to go right here, and that'll be the arms for my pull string. So I got my servo mounted for the door, and I need to do a mount back here for the steering servo next. Once I get that set up, then I'll go to the doors. So we'll get this door mount glued in over here, and then we'll get the modified forward section glued down. Once it's all done, and I get this Depron piece back here, then we'll spackle everything in and probably just throw some gray paint on it for now, because I don't plan on doing the full repaint just yet, but I don't want to see a bunch of white and stuff down here while I'm trying to fly it in the meantime. So anyways, so far it's looking pretty good. Way overkill. It's like, if I have a bad landing, it's probably going to break off back here. But anyways, so I'll keep on going and show you guys the progress after a little bit more work here. Alright, so I got the gear mounted. I had the light on the wrong side before, and this is a screw you need to remove in order to let the strut extend more. So now everything is mounted properly, the lights are functional. So I mounted the steering servo back here. So we get the pull cable set up. So you just kind of wrap the cable around the screws. I found some metric screws. Once I get the door on, I can hook the little springs to those same screws right there. And I'm gonna get the nose door on, and then after that's done, I can get the main door, and then after that, I can worry about this. I'm gonna have to have access to this in case I need to adjust it, so we'll figure that out. But yeah, it's functional at least now, so I just gotta do all the door stuff. All right, so what a pain. It took forever. I've been working on this thing all freaking day. Okay, so the doors are basically done. The fit isn't perfect because the contour is different here than it is back here. So I'm gonna have to I might actually put some Depron foam around here and then kind of like work it all in, and then spackle it and stuff, just so that way it looks a little nicer when it's all closed. Bit of a gap there, step right here, so anyways, it's gonna look okay when it's all done. It's just a little rough right now, but you can see how much farther forward I moved everything from before. So we'll open her up here, take a look at the steering setup. So I did have to redo my thing because I had the screws up here originally and didn't even think about it. The cables were keeping the door from closing, so I had to like sacrifice another strut, cut off a piece, put it down here instead of that spacer that I had. Anyways, big fiasco. Long story short, it's pretty much done. Just got to do all the bodywork type stuff now. So, but steering stuff done, and then so there it is. All right, geez, I don't even know how long I was working on this thing. 8 hours? I don't know, 7 hours, something like that. Anyways, now I'm going to see about relocating these ESCs. Cover this stuff up. Might go and fly tomorrow just to test it out, see how it goes. But anywho, we'll check back in a little bit after I get these ESCs repositioned. All right, so what I've done here is I've unsoldered the ESCs from the Y connection, added a few inches of length on the power cables, tucked the ESC or the motor side wires into this box area here, and then ran everything through the opening in there, and cut out a little cave area here, hot glued it in place, and cut that out of the hatch. Trying to seal up this big corner over here where these wires go through. There's like a giant opening. Probably just throw in thrust out of that hole. So everything should get a pretty good amount of airflow right there, and I don't think it's going to hurt the flow of the fan at all. So should work. Give it a whirl. All right, so got everything finished for now. Just kind of temporary fix here in the bottom so I can go fly it tomorrow. This is just some Depron underneath here, and then this is just some vinyl that I had, some automotive vinyl. So anyways, it'll be flyable. So I'm going to fly it tomorrow and experiment with the new nose gear setup and new ESC location. Hopefully everything goes okay, and I'm sure it'll be fine. And then after that, we'll see about setting this up for bomb bays. So going to be probably doing a glass layup and then cutting out the doors, cutting out the bays, and then might have to do some structural reinforcement in here just to keep the thing from folding in half. So should be interesting. But anyways, long day, but I'm glad it's over, and hopefully it works out all right. It looks way better, I'm sitting on the ground. So I'm curious to see if it changes the handling, if any. So that'll be a nice secondary bonus if it gets better with the new nose gear location. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. I know this was kind of long, probably a little boring. Probably not too many of you guys are going to do this mod, but figured, hey, might as well document it in case someone else wants to try to do the same thing. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.